Welcome back to another Stardew Valley video today. Today, I'm curious. So, we've cracked open 250 golden coconuts, we've done the prize tickets, amongst other things. Now, what I'm looking to do today is open 250 Omni Geodes, and I want to see if we get everything that you can get in the loot pool from 250. Now, if you didn't know, the Omni Geodes, or Geodes in general, are predetermined with the reward that you're going to get. Now, being a console player, I cannot see this, but on PC, based on the seed of your farm, maybe you can Google it, I'm not sure, but it is basically predetermined the rewards you're going to get, you know, prismatic shards included, all that fun stuff. But I do not have access to that, so what I'm going to do instead is open 250 of these and see if we get one of everything needed to donate to the museum. I'm really hopeful, you know, if we don't get everything for the museum after 250, then I'm not looking forward to having to crack a whole bunch more because, you know, it's kind of a pain. You never know what you're going to get, you know, unless you look up the seed and whatnot. But in this case, we ain't doing none of that exploit stuff. We are just sticking true to what we have and what we do. So who knows, maybe we'll get multiple prismatic shards, maybe we'll get more of one thing than the other. I'm not 100% sure if the chance is equal for everything, you know, with it kind of being predetermined. I don't know if you have an equal chance of getting, you know, the mudstone or the pyrite or whatever the case may be, but we're going to find out and see. Now, having that said, I'm on year 5 right now in my new 1.6 update farm. I decided to start over. Originally, my very first Stardew farm, I actually chose the river farm because I was like, oh, fishing would be great. Maybe it'll be a cool way to make money. But majority of Stardew players end up actually disliking fishing. Now, you know, a lot of people find it difficult and challenging when it comes to fishing, like especially with fish that go up and down like crazy, like the legend or the crimson or the glacier fish, which are all legendaries, by the way. Or the octopus, which is also notoriously difficult. Oh, a shard. Okay, not that bad, not that bad. Only took about 75 to get the shard. That's not terrible, to be honest. You could get that in Skull Cavern pretty easily. But anyways, back on the note of fishing, you know, honestly, it's like everything. The more you do it, the better you get. Honestly, I would recommend a lot of practice when it comes to it, and there's also so many ways to increase your fishing bar size with various foods or items that you can add and equip to the fishing rod once you get to fishing level 5. Then I think you unlock the iridium rod. Now, I could be mistaken. Either way, if you strongly dislike using the fishing rod, you can always choose crab pots as well. All you need to do is get a crab pot from Willie's, which you can buy for, I think they're like 1,500 or 2,500 each, something like that. Don't quote me, but somewhere in that range anyways. Alternatively, you can also get the crafting recipe and then make them yourself if you have the materials to spare, and then every single crab pot that you place down, you need to put bait in, which you can buy at Willie's shop for 5 gold or get from fishing treasure chests and all that fun stuff. And then basically what you can do is go to each crab pot every single morning, to which you kind of have to use crab pots in order to get the 100% for the fishing mastery, you know, the master angler achievement. So what I would recommend if you strongly hate fishing, just go ahead and get yourself a bunch of crab pots. You'll get 5 fishing XP per crab pot that you open, basically. So if you had 10 of them, you know, you can get 50 a day just by lining up, filling them with bait, leaving them alone, and, you know, flying through the first couple levels of fishing isn't that bad. Especially now at the new 1.6 update, you also have the bookseller that comes to town, right? So you can go to the bookseller and buy the fishing. I think it's called Bait and Bobber. The bookseller will not have, like, the same books all the time. But when he does, you're able to get them. You can also get books from the traveling merchant. You know, you can also get them in the desert when it's the desert festival, stuff like that. So, you know, there is alternatives if you strongly dislike fishing, which I did at the start. But then I grew to love it, and honestly now it's super chill. Like, honestly, today and yesterday, like right now I'm filming a how to get all 5 of the legendary fish. And so far I've gotten the legend, the crimson fish, and the mutant fish down in the sewers. And I caught them all on my first try. Now, mind you, it is a pain because their hook chance is low, and especially the legend fish, where you have to wait for it to be a rainy day in spring. But, you know, I caught them all on my first go. Mind you, my fishing level is 9. I use seafoam pudding. I put on the cork bobber, you know, so it increases the bar size. And with fish like that, you just gotta kind of hover in the middle because they go up and down so sporadically. If you try and follow, you're guaranteed to lose basically every time. So kind of staying in the neutral zone is more beneficial, especially the bigger that you have your bar. It makes things a lot easier. But anyways, off the note of fishing, I feel like I went quite on the fishing rant there, you know, which tons of content coming out, by the way. I have so many, oh, another shard. I have so many videos planned. My phone notes are polluted. Absolutely. You know, I do my best to not look at anybody else's stuff because I want to try and come up with original ideas, you know, just like this video here, and just, you know, different things or shorts or whatever the case may be. I'm trying to be more unique, you know, not, you know, there's 1,000 YouTubers that have come out with how to do this, how to do that. And don't get me wrong, how to catch all the legend fish isn't super creative, but it's something that I chose to do, not based off somebody else's experience or, you know, their way of doing things. So I'm trying to establish myself, you know. I apologize if I talk too fast in some of my videos. I'm from the East Coast of Canada, so a lot of people back there tend to talk really fast, especially if they're from like Newfoundland or something. Oh, they talk like crazy fast, like insane speed. We're talking like it even sounds like mumbles to me. Some of them, the way they talk, oh my goodness. I remember I went to a wedding in Newfoundland, and my goodness, the people that I'm related to, I couldn't understand half of them. And I don't know if it was the alcohol or not, but it just sounded like, it literally sounded like like mumbling, like a, you know, a teenager would do when they get their deep voice and all that fun stuff, like myself. But having that said, like, it was just crazy. Like, I couldn't understand half of them. And yeah, I don't know if it was the liquor talking or just me or what, you know, I wasn't able to drink at the time. But it was just absolutely insane. And then they're talking back and forth, and you're like, what language are you speaking? You know, it's kind of cool, pretty neat, honestly. Not gonna lie, if you haven't been to the East Coast of Canada, you should. Honestly, it's beautiful. Like, if you're coming to visit from any country, from the States per se, you know, if you live close by or whatever, or, you know, you're close to Niagara Falls, you know, it's just a couple hour drive over to the, you know, the next couple provinces, go through Ontario, Quebec, and then go to Nova Scotia, take a ferry over to Newfoundland or whatever the case may be. You've got a pretty cool vacation on your hands. Personally, you know, I'm from Nova Scotia, which is pretty cool, but it reeks of crab and lobster all the time because that's where, like, the plants are. So, you know, that's where they disassemble crab and harvest and all that fun stuff. But Newfoundland, on the other hand, was beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong, Nova Scotia is scenic, but Newfoundland was just, like, you could look down in the water and see the fish, you know, obviously only up to X amount of feet because, you know, we can't see crazy far down. And then, like, all the different lighthouses and just beautiful areas. Like, honestly, if you get the chance to go to Newfoundland, check it out. It is such a scenic area of Canada to go to. The west coast of Canada, what do you got? Banff and Jasper, BC, go see a couple mountains. Don't get me wrong, Calgary, like, Airdrie area is beautiful. I used to work in Airdrie. I worked as a burner guy in the oil field working on the burners, so it was a good time, you know. I enjoyed it very much, and it was super beautiful waking up in Airdrie every day, seeing the mountains. Like, you know, each to their own. It kind of depends on what kind of scenic stuff you like, you know. It depends on you. And anyways, sorry for just babbling in general about all this. Looks like we got a pretty good haul, not gonna lie. I do see that we have one item missing. That is unfortunate. We got only 2 shards at a 250, so that's kind of brutal. But hey, that could be one for the Galaxy Sword. That could be one for use at Ginger Island Volcano for upgrading. Like, you know, I would argue going to Skull Cavern is probably a better route. And you also need the marble and the dwarf gadget for crafting recipes. So hey, opening 250, worth it? You know, you kind of have to open as many as you have to get everything for the museum either way, right? So maybe open them in batches of 10 or 20 so it's not as torturous.